Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Game Rater, the series where we look at a game to determine if it's worth your time or if it ain't worth a dime. Today's title, we are looking at Redfall, the Xbox vampire flop that was released in 2023. Now, let's open our manuals to Chapter 1. Visually speaking, it's very unique. During the day, it seems like a basic open world map, but once the moon comes out, it becomes a mix between dark and creepy and a neon mystical comic. You'll see blood red smoke, bright blue and white lights, an eclipsed sun, cyan, ghost birds, and much more. Even the intro was eye-catching, as it looked like a moving water painting. The cutscenes, however, were underwhelming moving pictures of NPCs as statues, so it never felt like the characters had any life to them. The outfits seemed either questionably out of place or very cliche. It's hard to say which it leaned towards. Not too bad of a concept, but could go for some possible improvements. Visuals get a B+. Decent choice in background music, and guns sound powerful. But what really makes the sounds hit or miss is the voice actors. We can split them into two categories: the okay voices and the ones that knew their role. NPC survivors didn't always sound enthused, let alone say anything at all if you tried to talk to them. A lot of grunts or sighs. Pretty sure a couple had the same voice actor in different characters. So, at best they were okay. The vampires, however, were constantly hissing, whispering, and overall making themselves sound better than everyone else. They just gave that feeling that they were creeping right behind the main cast. And speaking of the main cast, besides some not so good one-off lines, their dialogue was actually intriguing at some points. I feel like they just needed better quips, not to sound so moody over everything as well. And we're talking about Jacob there, the pressing sounds whisper in at a C+. While the gameplay is very standard, I like the idea of staking vampires as the only way of truly defeating them, as it gives them that honorable feeling of the pasty monster from the old books. The only issue with the gameplay is that the map seems too big for how inconsistent the enemies spawn. There are times they spawn in huge patches, out of the blue, or could just walk for 10 minutes and only see a trio posted up on a bridge. After the gunplay and figuring out the enemies, you're left with small tasks like scavenging and clearing out safe houses for more spawn points. Some missions are to keep the story going, but other than that, you could go through most of the game without harming a single bad guy. Gameplay runs by with a C. The first impression with this game is people think it's a flop. However, I could see this game being more unfinished instead of it being the final cut, just by looking at the differences of the in-game cutscenes from the beginning compared to the later parts of the game, as well as characters not saying as much, and the missions on first glance are very vague and extremely straightforward. You could say this is the situation Cyberpunk 2077 put themselves in without all the glitches. So maybe Redfall can make a comeback with updates and possibly finishing their game. However, for the first Xbox exclusive by Bethesda, this should have stayed in the oven for a while longer. Redfall falls to a C+ at best. Now, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe below. And while you're down there, leave a comment for a game you'd like to see covered on a future episode of Game Rater. Till then, we will see you next time.